Everybody. Hi, good morning, and welcome to Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church's in-person and online worship. Whether today is your first time here or you've been coming for years, we're really glad that you're with us. My name is Susie. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm a member of the worship committee. We are a growing community that transforms lives through the power of love. Our mission calls us to celebrate diversity, encourage spiritual growth, and promote social responsibility while we travel on and care for the earth. A special welcome to those at home who are joining us on Zoom today. If you're attending for the first time, please go to our website and fill out the welcome card so that we can know more about you. This morning's service about cats is presented by Allen Avenue's Worship Committee. Lay-led worship is a tradition at this and many other Unitarian Universalist societies. At Allen Avenue, the Worship Committee either sponsors or presents one such service a month. On most other Sundays, services are led by our minister, the Reverend Tara Humphreys. Now we invite you all to take this opportunity to silence your cell phone so that we can be fully present to one another. After the service, please grab a cup of coffee in the kitchen window and stay for conversation in the foyer. We encourage you to find someone you've never met before and introduce yourself. Those on Zoom may stay on and connect with one another. And now let us center our hearts and minds with the ringing of the chimes.
Good morning. Welcome, you questioners, seekers of truth with a capital T, pilgrims longing for sanctuary, travelers needing harbor from the storm. Welcome those who are holding on by a thread, determined breakers of the chains of loneliness and isolation. You push through your fear because something told you that you deserve to belong. Welcome home. Welcome those who braid ropes again and again. You've been there for our siblings who are just hanging on. You gave them a hand into community and told them they could rest here. Welcome you who seek spiritual and religious community for your children and grandchildren. You entrust your young people here, and we as a community commit to nurture and respect them. Welcome, children and youth. You give us the gift of your wisdom, your joy, your curiosity, and your trust that we will hold all of you safe. Welcome. Welcome home. How do we make this tender place wider? How do we stretch into a bolder welcome, a radical generosity of the heart? Can we imagine ourselves the stewards and ushers not only into this space, but into our circle of belonging? Can we commit and recommit to being accountable to one another as an anti-racist, anti-oppressive community that centers marginalized voices, that listens to those voices, especially when what they are saying is hard to hear? Can we be willing to change? When we break our agreements with one another, can we offer amends? Can we be humble and generous? There is grace enough here. There is, in this place, the possibility of healing, of repair, of making things right within ourselves, between us, and within the wider world. There is, in this place, possibility. Welcome home. As we light the flame of the chalice, we invite those on Zoom to light their own chalices or candles so that we may be connected. Today's chalice lighting is a meditation on cats and dogs. What's the difference between dogs and cats? Dogs look at people and say, they feed us, They give us shelter. They take care of our every need. They must be gods. Cats look at people and say, they feed us, they give us shelter, they take care of our every need. We must be gods. We light this chalice for all those feline gods we share our lives with. And now stand as you are willing and able and sing hymn number 77, We Seek Not Afar for Beauty, in your gray hymnal.
For our time for all ages, any children are welcome to come forward, or you can stay where you are. We will have pictures that you should be able to see from wherever, hopefully. My name is Erica Bartlett, and since today's service is about cats, I wanted to tell you some fun facts about them. You might know some of this, but hopefully you also learn something new. But first, how many of you either have a cat or used to have a cat? Okay, this is a cat-loving congregation for sure. I've had cats all my life, except when I was in college and wasn't allowed to. I even recently found a video with my very first cat named Inky, which was very sweet. My two current cats are Pangea and Fezzik. Next photo, please. Fezzik is named after a character in The Princess Bride, the one played by Andre the Giant. Fezzik is a light orange cat, which brings me to my first fact. Did you know that 4 out of 5 orange cats are boys? That's because the genes that determine color for a cat are passed down through the parents and linked to whether the cat is a boy or a girl. Next picture. On the other hand, Pangea is a calico cat, and almost all calico cats are girls. A calico is one that has fur that's white with mottled brown, black, and orange patches. So Pangea is what's called a dilute tortoiseshell, to be fancy. And while she's got some bits of orange fur, she has just about every other color too. Some cats are also more talkative than others. Pangea is definitely one of them. She makes lots of little noises during the day. But did you know that cats don't meow to communicate with each other? They only meow to communicate with humans. And even more interesting, there's no set language for meowing. you learn to recognize what your cat's meows mean, but like if they want food or attention, but you won't reliably be able to tell what another cat's meow means just by hearing it. Next photo. Yes. When it comes to eating, cats can't taste sweet things because they don't have the right kind of taste buds for it. That means they won't go after your sweet treats. However, judging by Fezzik, they do like salt. He likes potato chips, peanuts, almonds, things like that. Plus, of course, tuna and chicken and regular cat food and really just any food. He's very food motivated. Next picture. And have any of you always heard that cats land on their feet? That's usually true because they have a very good reflex for orienting themselves in an upright position. I was very glad about this when one of my previous cats, Osiris, accidentally fell out of my second floor window. Happily, he landed on his feet and was fine, and I also got new windows so that wouldn't happen again. Cats are also excellent jumpers and can even jump up to 5 times their height. That explains how Osiris used to jump to almost the top of a door when chasing a laser pointer. Next photo. Another thing I've learned from Pangea, if your cat doesn't have teeth, their tongue is apt to stick out more because their teeth can't help keep it in. When a cat's tongue sticks out like this, it's called a blep. I don't know why, but it is. And also, don't worry, Pangea gets by just fine without teeth. And the way she eats her dry food, I'm not even sure she notices that she doesn't have teeth. And do any of your cats get the zoomies? Yes, yes. That's when the cats race around the house for no apparent reason. It turns out that house cats can run up to 30 miles per hour over short distances. And after seeing Pangea race up and down my stairs and around the rooms, I believe that. Last photo. And on the religion side, you may know that cats were worshipped in ancient Egypt. Cats were considered an icon of Bastet or Bast, the goddess of protection, who was imagined as a woman with the head of a cat, which is why it was illegal at that time to kill cats. And when a family cat did die, family members shaved off their eyebrows to show that they were mourning. I can't say I've done that, although I'm always sad to say goodbye to my cats. There are many other fascinating facts about cats, but we'll stop there for now, but you may learn more during the service.
Good morning, my name's Mike Luce, also a member of the worship committee. So as you've gathered by now, this morning's worship committee service is about cats. Now why? Partly to focus in this deep midwinter on something lighter than our usual fare, and partly to honor our 7th UU principle, for cats share with us the interdependent web of all existence. It's nice of them to share. And partly because our committee includes a bunch of cat lovers. If you're a cat lover too, sing praise and hallelujah for this service. If not, please accept this chance to practice what we preach, understanding and toleration of the unlike-minded. My reflection is entitled, It Takes Time. So quite a few years ago now, my friend Jeffrey heard a commotion outside his apartment, some yells and laughs and shouting. So he went outside and saw some kids running up the street. And around the corner of his building, he found this really young little cat in pretty rough shape. I'm not going to say what they had been doing, but she carried scars of all types throughout the rest of her life from this. Jeffrey took her to the vet and finally took her home, and she was one wild kitty. People were her enemies for good reason and were not to be trusted. It took months for that to change at all, even with him. I guess you'd call it serendipity that Jeff's a welder, and the state of his hands will attest to that. and they were the perfect hands to deal with her inevitable claws and teeth. He endured, and after a while, she'd sniff his hand instead of claw it most of the time. After some more time, a few of us, group of friends, could approach her and sit next to her. I could scratch her ears a little bit. Some she never warmed up to very much, but by the time Jeff married Annie, most people were safe around her. The cat, not Annie. Annie's nice. In her last few years, she even became Annie's lap kitty. Now, the reason I tell you about this is because by all rights, this is a cat who would never have survived but for Jeffrey. And Jeffrey was not the kind of person you would have expected to put up with her stuff. He does not have a reputation of being the softest guy around. He'd never had a pet before. When I dropped by a day or two after he found her, I had no idea what he was talking about when he warned me not to let my hand dangle near the floor. Then he told me about the little buzzsaw he'd ended up with and how. He'd already learned not to do that. She seemed to be obsessed with fingers and would attack at any opportunity, hissing and yowling. It took years, but they got through it. And I saw a softness and patience in Jeffrey that had been rather under wraps. It was still cloaked in loving verbal abuse and grumping, but he hung in there with her. He gave her what hardly anybody else would have. He got it, and in the process helped a pretty nasty kitty to show us all a lesson in redemption. From a spitting, sneak attack, sharp-clawed monster around whom no one was safe, she became a lap kitty. Now, here's the lesson I take from this. It takes time, and then it takes some more time, and then maybe just a little more time. And you're still not at perfection, but that's what it takes. Patience was my greatest strength, helping my clients recover when I was working, both for me and helping them have patience with themselves. We humans are busy making a lot of injured souls who are also going to need time and patience to heal. And somehow we need to learn to keep helping them, even if they claw us a little. Just consider the alternative.
My name is still Erica Bartlett, and I have to say, I spend a lot of time with my cats, both of whom I got in 2019. I've been working from home since March 2020, which means I'm home most of the time. And since my cats are indoor only, Pangea and Fezzik are right there with me, often in the same room. I give them quite a bit of attention when I'm not working, but even when I am at least trying to work, I have to stop periodically to pat them or play with them a bit, turn the water fountain on or off, because Fezzik likes it on and Pangea likes it off, fish a cat toy out from under something, play musical chairs with Fezzik, who likes to jump in my chair whenever I stand up, even though he has a chair right next to me, and try to prevent too much cat drama when I'm in Zoom meetings. It's a good thing I only work part-time. This means the cats take up a fair amount of both my time and my mental space. So when I talk to people, I'm often tempted to tell them something about my cats. But unless I know the person is open to it, I mostly try to keep that part quiet because I don't want to be considered a crazy cat lady. You may be familiar with the stereotype. It's generally a single woman with multiple cats, sometimes an animal hoarder, who may have mental health issues, be unhygienic, and/or appears to care only about cats. There are all kinds of examples in places like The Simpsons, Saturday Night Live, the recent movie Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and more. The funny thing is, I realized I'd never actually seen most of the media depictions of these kinds of women, but I'm still familiar with the stereotype. That made me wonder how long these negative associations between women and cats had been around. Turns out to have a long history. One of the first depictions of women and cats as a bad mix was in the book The Malleus Maleficarum, published in the late 1400s. This book, usually translated as The Hammer of Witches, includes a story about 3 women turning themselves into cats through witchcraft and attacking a man on the street, and then turning back into women and accusing him of attacking them. So that began the link between cats and the so-called witches. Most of those accused were women, and even more suspicious were single women or women who were different in any way. A connection to cats, especially black cats, remained a common refrain in witch trials. And in fact, the first witch killed in England was rumored to have a blood-drinking cat named Satan. I had known a little of that, but what I didn't know is that when women started trying to get the vote in the early 20th century, the anti-suffragist movement used cats as propaganda. It seems they wanted people to think that only single, bitter, and lonely women who only had cats for company would possibly want the vote. Sadly, that type of mentality hasn't completely gone away, but some people are actively trying to change it. I'm not a Swiftie, but I appreciate that Taylor Swift is a proud cat lady who insisted that one of her photos as Times Person of the Year be done with her cat, Benjamin. She even takes her cats on tour with her, except to countries where bringing the cats isn't allowed. There's also a website called Girls and Their Cats, which aims to redefine what it means to be a cat lady. They have lovely photos of women and their cats, with write-ups about each woman to show that they are successful, independent, multifaceted, sometimes partnered, and sometimes not. And these are just a couple of examples. You can find plenty more. Knowing that now, I've decided that if I want to do my part to undo the stereotype, I should talk about my cats. After all, the only way to dismantle this negative cat lady image is to show that women of all kinds can love their cats without the negative connotations. So if I tell you how excited my cats can get about something as simple as a pen cap, how sweet it is when Pangea greets me with great enthusiasm when I come home, how much I appreciate Pheasant keeping me company while I work, or as they get older, how hard it can be sometimes to have an aging pet, remember, it's for a noble purpose. This doesn't mean my cats are the only thing I care about or the only subject I want to talk about, but considering how much a part of my life they are, they deserve to be included in the conversation. We are a freely gathered, open, and welcoming faith community supported by your contributions. Each week, 1/3 of our offering is given away to a nonprofit organization whose mission aligns with our Unitarian Universalist values. This month's Share the Plate recipient, chosen by our coming of age group of youth, is Rewild Maine, whose mission is to deepen the connections between people, each other, and the earth through land stewardship, education, and community. Donations can be made now as the basket is passed through the donate button on our website, or if you're a member, through Breeze. If giving through Breeze, please note if the donation is your pledge or a gift to our Share the Plate. And if you're visiting us for the first time this morning, please know that your presence is your gift to us. At this time, our offering will be collected and gratefully received.
Um, this piece is titled The Feline Appetite. I've been thinking a lot lately about cats and their appetites. My two cats and I have had our ups and downs over the years, focused on their eating habits. For years after Rudy and Fitzy moved in, they were fussy cats. I'd put food down and they'd walk away. A few minutes later, they'd be back, looking up at me with that expression that says, "We hate that food. Something different, please." So then do I open another can so the pathetic little creatures don't starve to death? If I do, am I a sucker? And am I guaranteeing that their appetites will become so refined that almost nothing will meet their standards? Well, sucker that I am, I often open another can, remembering my poor mother, who would often have so many cat dishes on the floor that it looked like she had a household of felines. It got to the point that I saved the labels of every flavor that they seemed to like, and then that's all I would buy. Sometimes that worked and sometimes it didn't. Within the past year, everything changed, and suddenly I had two cats who were so hungry that they'd eat anything. It was nice not to be throwing out that much cat food, but it didn't seem right, and it wasn't. Rudy had developed diabetes, and because he wasn't getting all the nutrients from his food, he ate more and more to make up for it. Fitzy, I think, was just going along for the ride. He'd always been a bit more likely to give in and eat after the initial show of haughty rejection. So with the vet's guidance, I began giving Rudy insulin injections, and he started feeling like a new cat, you could tell. He suddenly started playing, which wasn't at all like his previous self. His whole body seemed to relax, and now even his fur feels softer and silkier. Also, he's fussy again. Kind of fussy, not totally uncompromising, like he used to be. Eventually, he'll eat what I put down. And again, Fitzy is following along. Rudy walks away and Fitzy walks away, although not always. Now, though, it's really important that Rudy eat, even though we haven't reached the point with the insulin dosage that his blood sugar might plummet dangerously. Still, it seems safer if he doesn't have an empty stomach. So we're back sort of where we started, and I'm still thinking a lot about cat food and trying to figure out the ideal, most delectable flavors, the ones that no cat could ever dream of walking away from. I ask myself what that ideal, super yummy flavor could possibly be. Many flavors seem unrealistic and not at all what a cat would eat in the wild. For instance, beef, chicken. Have you ever wondered why they don't make, well, I found out they do, mouse cat food? I wondered about it. Instead, the makers of cat foods mostly seem to be gearing their flavors, or at least their marketing, toward human tastes. My supply of kitty food currently contains flavors named chicken Tuscany, chicken Primavera, and chicken Florentine. Little bits of spinach. I can just imagine Fitzy and Rudy dreaming of the Tuscan countryside and the Renaissance aura of old Florence. Then there's grain-free gourmet salmon, sustainable tuna, and delicate whitefish and tuna. Not to mention the treat that actually is Rudy's favorite, delectable squeeze-ups. Honestly, it strikes me that it's kind of a dilemma. It would be great if they came up with the yummiest possible food for cats, but I don't want them doing what they've done with human food, like processed food, adding flavors like salt, sugar, and whatever they put in Doritos to capture the addictive parts of our brains. Or maybe they already do that with cat food. I wouldn't be surprised. I just think they're ignoring the reality of what cats might like, mouse cat food. Which I notice, even though they do make it, has not taken the feline world by storm. I had to look. So this morning, the worship committee has been sharing memories of cats. Now the choir will share Memories from Cats, the musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber. Sung in the play by Grisabella, the glamour cat, the song evokes human sorrows and human dreams and human hopes. Yet one of its lines could be sung by all the real cats we have loved. If you'll touch me, it says, you'll understand what happiness is. So here's the choir.
Memories, what a nice song. Try that again, memories, what a nice song. I have memories of cats myself, and even at this advanced age, I sometimes remember them. This is called On Our Knees. Have you ever cleaned the litter boxes of 100 cats? I have, and I report that it's hard on the knees and the nose. Still, it has its rewards. But let me explain. Once upon a time, a bunch of years ago, I volunteered to work with the youth who a local service agency thought could use some help getting through life. I'll call the kid Felix in the spirit of today's service subject. Felix and I first met at his home in the presence of his mother and an agency worker. We all professed an initial satisfaction with each other and a willingness to proceed. The first task for Felix and me was getting to know each other. So off we went for a drive with that purpose in mind. Well, good luck. Imagine two staunch introverts wheeling around the Eastern Prom, wondering what to say. Well, Felix at least knew how to handle the challenge. 90 seconds out of his driveway, he fell sound asleep. When I braked a bit hard to wake him up, then glanced over, his eyes opened, but he did not respond. In fact, he appeared to be almost catatonic, which was a good thing, because a few weeks later, when we finally started to speak, Felix and I discovered a mutual affection for cats. Hey, let's volunteer to care for cats, we said, and so we did. We went with a bunch of other people to a training session at the Animal Refuge League in Westbrook, only to be told at the end of it that the league needed no new volunteers, but we would be welcome to be on the waiting list. Well, that didn't do for us. Felix and I wanted faster action. So when we heard about HEART, the no-kill cat center in Cumberland, I gave a call. Oh yes, they could use new volunteers. The woman I spoke to sounded pleased to hear from us. Visions of purring, furry puffballs might be dancing in our heads, but visions of pristine litter boxes were undoubtedly dancing in hers. Long story short, off we went almost every Thursday afternoon for the next 5 years. First to an old barn in Cumberland, rural Cumberland, and then to the current center just off Route 100. Each week we dropped to our knees upon arrival, not to break bread or to pray, but to clean up crud. Many, many pounds of it. We also doled out food and water, and then in the best of our visits, the cat's pajamas times, to use the dying idiom, we petted and played with as many of our 100 new friends as we had time for. Then it was off to McDonald's, where Felix had a burger, I had tea, and together we worked on the daily jumble. Confession, I sometimes cheated and looked up the answers before we went. Our work at Heart was not easy. The toughest part was convincing the cats not to use the boxes again until we could declare their room clean and shut the door, trying to believe that it would stay clean for the rest of our shift. Tough duty, but I think it was good for the cats. I know it was good for Felix and me. Through the years, Felix developed a fresh sense of himself as somebody who could do good. He matured, and toward the end of our time together, he became the first member of his family ever to graduate from high school. With Felix reaching adulthood, we told the folks at Heart that we were done. They responded by presenting each of us a wall plaque expressing their thanks. But I think they should have given the plaques to the cats. They gave us as much as we gave them. To my great surprise, the cats demonstrated Unitarian Universalist values, though I never mentioned that to Felix, who had no connection to this church. The cats showed how to balance individual and communal interests. They celebrated diversity. The tuxedo cats did not huddle in one corner, scowling and glowering at orange tabbies in another. They mixed together, they accepted each other. Oh yes, well, they could snarl and disagree and even raise a sharply clawed paw to settle arguments, but they never declared wars. They never used torture, and they never made each other slaves. They understood and honored the web of all existence. They affirmed the worth and dignity of every cat, if not every mouse. Any minister or church leader who describes and complains about their work as trying to herd cats should go out to Heart and see the cats herd themselves. They even seem to have a covenant, not a written one because cats can't write, but this mutual covenantal understanding. Purr unto others as you would have them purr unto you. Now there's a perfect way to get along. Our closing hymn is We Would Be One, number 318 in the gray hymnal and on the screen. As we rise and join in song, let us think of being one, not with just each other, but with all living things, at least the friendly ones, like domestic cats, at least most domestic cats.
These are our closing words.
As we leave this hallowed place, may our feet remember its feel, so that wherever we walk, we know ourselves to be on hallowed ground. May we know that we are kin with every soul, every star, every stone and leaf of grass. May our words be gentle and our touch be kind. Blessed be. Our worship has ended and our service begins.